Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome your filmmakers and cast from the film. Please give a huge warm welcome to producer of the film, Mr. Joel Silver, and the writer and director, Mr. Shane Black, Mr. Matt Bomer, and Mr. Russell Crowe. Welcome, gentlemen, to our little bar. I'm going to start things off, if that's okay, and then we'll throw out to our audience.
Hold on. Keep your phones up. Let me take a photo of you with your phones up.
That's a nice moment.
There we go. Right,
Love
ready? And
the random iPad.
phones up. Well, it's actually it's a very cool shot, actually. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. If you need a copy of this, you'll find it on Twitter later on in the day.
Shane, can I start with you, please, sir? I'd like to ask you where and if there's anything in particular that sort of this idea stemmed from you in terms of your love or your...
Yeah, me too. Yeah. For me, there's a sort of a bone-deep kind of DNA of this thing ever since I raided my father's bookshelf back when I was a kid. This sort of tough guy material. And I had a friend, Anthony Begarosi, my writing partner. And together, the two of us just decided that there weren't enough private eye movies, not enough old school tough guy sorts. Back in the day, you'd see Lee Marvin and John Cassavetes in this sort of thing. And so we set out to write this, sharing character. I would do one character, he'd do the other. Well, that doesn't work. You can't write a movie that way. But we did come up with something that over the years, in various iterations, managed to fail upward until we got the right actors. And 13 years later, it sort of just magically came together. And we're actually quite pleased with the result. We're happy as could be. Fantastic.
Joel, sir, can I ask you,
Sure.
please, in terms of you producing a film, was this quite an easy ride, or was it more complicated than it looks on screen?
There's no such thing as an easy anything. Shane and I go back a long time, 30 years, and we did. He's a 21-year-old college graduate from UCLA when he wrote Lethal Weapon, and that was '86, and we made that in '87, and then, of course, we went on to do Lethal Weapon 2. He was actually in Predator, a movie that we made in '87, and then Last Boy Scout, and he took a kind of a period of introspection, which I wasn't part of, and then we did Kiss Kiss in 2005, but he had written Nice Guys before that, like 2001, and we had tried a few ways to do it. He had decided to direct Kiss Kiss. We made that one first. We tried to do it as a television series, or tried to do it as a mini series, but finally, after he made Iron Man 3, which was essentially one of those get out of jail free cards, whatever he wants, he could do, and he didn't go to jail. And he said, I want to make Nice Guys. And we started talking about it, and within, literally, in the magic of some of the process working, Russell said, I like it. I think it would work. And at the same time, Ryan said, well, I want to work with Russell, so I like it. And then we had a movie. And that was easy, but that was it.
Russell, you can I guess you can write chemistry in a script, but in terms of bringing that chemistry to life on screen, there's good chemistry and there's brilliant chemistry, and you two on screen, it's wonderful to watch.
Cool.
Was it fun to play?
Yeah, that you can't manufacture that. You either have it or you don't. But the key to it, it's not really that complex. It's just about listening. If you're listening to each other, you're tuned into each other. It doesn't matter what left step he takes or what improv he decides to do. I can go with him because I'm actually listening to him. I don't anticipate what he's going to do, or make any assumptions. So, and it goes both ways. So that's really all you're seeing is a couple of guys who are very aware the other guy could do anything at any given moment. So you'd best tune in.
On your toes.
Yeah.
Is that his real scream? Can he really scream that?
Isn't that unbelievable?
Jesus.
That freaks me out. It's the best scream in feature film since Gene Wilder, and that's saying something. That's a hell of a scream.
I was like, I thought things were going to smash when they hit that note. Matt, for John Boy, he's terrifying without kind of even saying anything, just his demeanour. Was that kind of great to bring to life and to create?
Oh yeah, it's always fun to get to paint with different colors and to get to play these kind of roles you're not typically thin sliced as, and to get to do it with these people. I'm essentially a fanboy who's lucky enough to be along for the ride. Shane and Joel are a huge part of my cinematic upbringing from my childhood, and to watch two of my favorite actors create this incredible symbiotic comedic performance that where one doesn't work without the other, and it's just so present, and every take was different, was really just an incredible education for me.
Oh, I could have made it work with that Ryan, mate.
Let's have some audience questions. We'll start at the front, please, with this lady here. We'll get a microphone, and then if we can get a microphone to the lady next door for the next question, thanks. Hello.
Hi, Laura from Loose Lips. To Russell, the on-screen bromance that you have with Ryan is really fun to watch. In terms of the comic scenes, did you follow the script strictly, or was there a lot of improv involved between the two of you?
Well, the cool thing about working with Shane at this period of his life, when he's had, you know, the ups and downs and the slings and arrows and all that sort of stuff, he's at a point where he really does understand that you got to trust who you hire, you know. Now, we're both very respectful of the script, and we'll do it the way it reads, but then we also bring ideas every day and say, well, what about if we move it like this and move it like that? And Shane just trusted that, you know, we would work within the spirit of what he intended. You know, that wouldn't suddenly just be doing some other movie, you know. So there's a lot of stuff, and it's on a daily basis. And like I said, it's actually, some of it's not discussed, some of it's just in the moment, something's apparent, and you go for it, you know. So.
Thank you. And lady there.
Hello. Firstly, really enjoyed the mole for John Boy. So thank you. Nice touch. Russell, we've just spoken a little bit about the chemistry with Ryan, but also we get a bit of a reunion with you and Kim after LA Confidential. What was it like hooking up with her again in this? Maybe hooking up's not the right word to use. So sorry.
You got to tread carefully in London. It was great seeing Kim again, you know. We were talking and we realised we hadn't been in the same room together for over a decade when we were shooting, you know. I mean, it's very different cinematic relationship, this one, you know, compared to what we did before. And, you know, because we had so many hours together when we worked on LA Confidential, and we had a real intimate friendship. It was great, you know. So, and that still remains, you know. It's a funny thing about this business. You can go through a cycle and not see each other for years and years and years, but if you've connected, you still connect the next time you see each other. So, yeah, it was fun to see her and all that, but a very different work experience this time.
Can you just pass the mic behind you? The gentleman there's got a question. Thank you.
Hey, hi, back to Russell. Just back to you and Ryan, were there any problems with corpsing or kind of cracking up too much during takes? I was wondering.
See, it's great. I'm in a country that knows what corpsing means. I've you know, doing the press in America, you know, you talk about it, people go, I have no idea what that is. If you take the 26 years of making lead roles in feature films prior to The Nice Guys, the amount of times that I would have corpsed on camera in that whole time, 49 feature films or whatever, would be less than any given week of shooting Nice Guys. This little bastard makes me laugh. And he's just, sometimes I would suspect, like, he was up all night trying to think of a way to make me laugh in a scene, you know, because he has this sort of natural comedic gift, you know, and he's a funny bastard, man. So yeah, I laugh my head off all the time. We had a funny story, we blocked off a section of sunset, you know, and it's a very simple shot. You know, we just got to pull in, we got to look at a billboard, a couple of lines of dialogue, drive off, done, scene's over, you know. And we pull in, and Ryan's just not on the script. He's jamming on some idea that's in his head about German spank films, and I'm just falling apart in the car. Like, I can't get my dialogue out because then he goes into that pseudo-German that he does in the movie, you know? Such conviction, you know. And he's got like about 25 words that sound like he means shit or asshole, but none of them are actually real, you know. So he's doing all that. And you've got Joel Silver standing in the middle of sunset, you know, going, I got the whole goddamn street blocked off to shoot my movie. Not tonight, guys! Not tonight! And he goes back behind the monitors, and me and Ryan are sitting in the car, and I said, so we're going to do it with the script? And Ryan goes, no.
Fantastic. Next question. Can you get a microphone to the gentleman at the end here, please?
Hi, thanks. This question's for Shane. I know Joel kind of went back through your history a little bit with the films you've made, and something that always stands out to me with your older films is how a lot of them are set at Christmas, particularly Iron Man 3, which I found kind of strange, but it was nice. And with this film, you kind of get a really tiny hint of Christmas towards the end, but the rest of it is set kind of, I think, October time. Was there any reason this one wasn't set at Christmas?
Who are you, Santa?
Disgruntled.
Well, the idea is that I had various reasons for setting things at Christmas, but the one thing that I didn't want to do was keep doing it once people noticed. Because it was supposed to be something that flew under the radar, it was my little delicious secret, and I thought, oh, this is kind of fun. It has a meaning for me. But then questions like this one.
Sorry.
No.
Ruin it for everybody.
And suddenly I realized, oh, so now if I do it, it's going to be a question. So I just said, it doesn't really matter. In fact, I've written scripts that didn't get made, that weren't set at Christmas. And if they'd been made, I would have, I don't know, it's just a fabulous time. The first thing I ever saw that was set at Christmas that affected me that way was called 3 Days of the Condor, and it was a Sidney Pollack film. And it just had a wonderful sort of hushed background effect against which the other stuff, the real deadly, chased by assassins stuff, seemed to play. And I've basically been doing that sort of thing ever since.
Great, thank you. Over there, we've got a question. Thank you.
Hello, it's Jessen from Fan Carpet. I was just wondering, what was it like working with the younger cast? They were just fantastic characters in the film.
Is that directed at anyone in particular?
For the actors and for the producers and the director.
Do you want to pick up, Joel? Just
Sure. I mean, look, I mean, we're blessed with an incredibly talented, goes without saying. I mean, just brilliant, performances from everybody. I mean, my young friend here, Russell, he was great. But the little girl, Angourie, I mean, she's 15 years old now. She was 13 when made the movie. I mean, she, is incredible. And all the little girls around her, all the friends, the guy, the character Chet, fucking Chet, as we refer to him. He's Jack Kilmer. He's Val Kilmer's son. I mean, we really were able to fill the stage with just very talented people, and they were all great. Crowe is fantastic. I mean, it didn't hurt that we had Russell and Ryan who've done this a few times, so there was always this tremendous ability to everybody get the job done and do a great job.
There's this sort of joke that we've been making about Angourie being the most mature person on set. And it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of real too, She always was prepared. She came ready to, give everything she had. She's, very limited experience, but a fine intellect and a real enthusiasm for the craft. So it was great. The thing is, to get her to that place of comfort, apart from the work that Shane did with her, Ryan put a lot of effort into that. And just a few days ago we were just having a chat, and I said to him, I just knew you were going to be a great dad when I saw you do that, because he took time and he was gentle with her, and he was like, and open, and then she just started to flower because she felt comfortable and she could own the space, so it was really cool.
Yeah, before we move, we can't say enough about this little girl. I just want to stress that. I mean, and she is so guileless and so open and so I mean, I confess I've read a few reviews, and they mention her, and they go on, and I went to her and said, are you aware of the press you're getting? Are you aware that this thing steals the movie, or only thing, that is without question, And she goes, oh, I haven't really read, really? I mean, she just doesn't even know that she's good. She's just this wonderful, innocent, guileless little girl, and you can't, I mean, God bless us for having found her at the time when we did.
I was going to ask you about, in terms of the casting of her, was it an easy process to find her and to...
Joel knows more about that.
Joe, how was that process?
We just were, Ryan has a history with the Mickey Mouse Club. He was a child performer himself, and he took the time to, when we had these people coming in, and he took time to get to know who they were and what they were, and he worked with them all with us. And we thought we had a few girls that were coming from the States, and we thought we were going to be fine with that. And then this, tape came in from Melbourne, this, little Australian actress that nobody really knew, and we thought that she could be magical, and let's bring her in and see her. I mean, we didn't know that it would go where it was, and we, we had a whole day of auditions, and she was the last one in, and it just was done.
That's an example that Joel touched on then of Ryan's work ethic. In the audition process, he researched each of the little girls who were coming in. So he had a question he could ask them relating to previous jobs they've done or where they came from or whatever he could sort of uncover them. That's just sort of, you know, again, another indicator of what he did in order to make people comfortable in those situations.
Great. Next question, please. Gentlemen, I can't see. Is that a lady or a gentleman? There you go. There we go. In the middle. Thank you.
Hello. Firstly, absolutely loved the film. Really, really enjoyed it. And I was kind of curious to ask Mr. Black. So there are some brilliant, very surreal moments within the film. I don't want to spoil it, but you know, like so whether we're talking the bees or whether we're talking the swimming pool. And I've got to ask, how do you have that first pitch meeting? How do you first go sort of? There's a bee and it's smoking, because I love it, but I want to know sort of what got said to kind of make that brilliance happen.
Well, here's the good news where that's concerned, is that the pitch consists of a man, Joel Silver, and if I can convince him, then, you know, and he'd look at me sometimes and say, what? And I said, no, Joel. But he gets on board. He gets it. We have a similar sensibility that goes back 30 years. So even after I'd done what was a very successful film, Iron Man 3 at that time, afforded an opportunity to do something, I just went back to Joel. I went back to the well of not just private detective films, but Joel, with whom I've enjoyed both my best financial, no, that's not true, and my best creative success.
Don't throw glass, please. We got a question down here. If we get the microphone down here, please. Thank you.
Congratulations yet again on a wonderful film. I guess my question's to Shane and Russell. I believe, Shane, before you've alluded to the fact that if this film is as fantastically successful as we all know it should and will be, you have some quite specific ideas in mind of where you might like to take the characters forward. I'm curious if you'd like to talk about that, and Russell, if you did get an opportunity to revisit this world, these characters, if there's things that you think you would like to see in that.
All I can say, because I've got a bit of canoodling to do on that issue, is I love this idea of a sort of a landlocked, or in this case, a time-locked franchise, which means it'll never catch up to us. So the sequel would be something in the 80s that was reflective of an issue or something in that era that we could throw these guys against, you know, up against that wall and see what sticks. I just think that's a fun idea to do a sort of timeless private eye story that proceeds through a series of historical incidents. But no matter how many you make, you'll never quite get up to the present day.
A strange thing with the idea of sequels, you know. Seems like every movie that I ever do, people start in press conferences and like that, bring up the idea, oh, you're going to make a sequel. And it seems to me that every time somebody brings it up, it just doesn't happen. So
sorry.
thanks for fucking it up for everybody, man. Gee whiz, nice guy. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's certainly, we didn't throw everything against the wall with these characters. There's a lot yet to mine, so it could be fun. You know, for some reason, Ryan and I think the title, The Nice Guys, Mexican Detectives, is hilarious. I can't even say it without laughing. And I don't know why. I don't know why, but there's something about it.
There was a series of books, the MASH series, which was the Richard Hooker, what was the name of the author? Anybody know, remember? But they did the movie MASH, but he also did MASH Goes to Hawaii. It was the same lettering with the little asterisks in between. MASH does this, MASH does that, and it had that sort of flavor to it I loved, which, and they made like they actually only made 3 Shaft movies, but they're like 4 Shaft books, you know. There's a lot in the 70s, a tradition of sequels in this genre, because I'm not a big sequel fan normally, but there's always another case for these guys to solve. So.
Great. Question here in the second row, lady. Thank you.
Hi, my question's for Matt. We've been talking about the young actors. How was it throwing a 13-year-old girl through a window?
Well, I was going to comment on that when you asked about Angourie, because she is such a consummate professional that, you know, it was the first thing I filmed, and I had to, like you said, throw a young girl through a plate glass window. And I immediately felt the need to ingratiate myself to these 2 young girls and let them know I was a parent and that I was on the level and that we were just playing pretend. And they just both stared at me very blankly, like, yeah, so? Like, like we don't know this? Throw me through the window. What you got? Oh, that's it? I want another take. I know you got more than that. So they took me to school.
Did you get to practice it?
Not really, no. I mean, you do kind of a dry run, you know, with the stunt department. I mean, it was all very professionally handled and prepared.
Well, let's be fair. The one through the window was actually a very small stunt person.
I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to say anything.
Spoiler. Okay,
spoiler.
more questions? Anyone else got a question in the back of the room? No, we're not. Well, I do anyway. I wanted to ask about the particular location of your character's abode. Why he lives above this kind of crazy club. It's just something that's kind of stuck with me. And
we
I
talked about it for a while. It's just I just thought it was such a brilliant idea.
Right.
We actually shot a little piece. It's not in the movie, of him just sitting by himself in his apartment, right? Just deep in thought, and you can hear the laughter from the live show that's going on downstairs. And then just over time, you see the laughter seep into him, and he actually then smiles. I don't know what it meant, but it was really cool to shoot.
Can we put that back?
Okay, let's get it back. We'll put it back.
Okay. Why tonight?
Yeah, there's something really sort of beautiful in that. You know, he doesn't really have much of a life. He's got no friends. He's got no relationship. He lives this very Spartan sort of lifestyle. You can actually read some of his history in the way that apartment looks. You know, people might have 10 of something. He's only got one. You know?
Yeah.
And he can walk from his bed to the front door in a straight line and grab everything he needs for the day and out the door, you know? But there's just something quite sad and beautiful about
But
the
the
fact
most
that
dour character.
he lives
Yeah.
above the laughter or something.
He has a laugh track. His life has a laugh track. Yeah, it's wonderful.
And Tim Allen's doing a lot of shows at the Comedy Store at that time.
But like you said, there's a lot more for these characters to say. And in terms of when you think about and what we learn about them through this film, we learn more about Ryan's character than we do about you know, about his wife and about him being a father and stuff. And was that something that you talked about kind of in detail in terms of, you know, up to the point to this film where he was and how he got to where he is?
Look, I think it's very clear that he's dislocated. He's an East Coast guy and he's living on the West Coast, right? If you really look at his costume, there's a uniform aspect to it, and you can probably sift through and say that he spent some time in the Navy, which has got a lot to do with the sparseness and his efficiency and all that, you know? But the detail of his life, it's just not really required in this movie, you know? It's all just, it's sort of sitting there behind his eyes, you know? But you never know.
One last chance for questions, otherwise I'm going to... Oh, don't be so slow. That was the slowest, like, arm raise in history. Get it
this
up there.
one's for Russell. You mentioned earlier that you and Ryan did a lot of, well, you did one scene kind of improv, well, unintentionally. How much of the film was...
When did I say we did one scene unintentionally improv?
Well, when Ryan went off on
every
one.
day is what I was trying to get across.
Oh, okay.
Every day, every fucking scene, every moment. Can I make it clearer?
Did this make shooting twice as long as it was supposed to be then?
Nope.
Nope. Got it in the can.
Yeah, that's all it's about, you know. You stand there for 3 months, something happens, and people like the result, or they don't. And if you stood there and like the result, they say, would you like to stand here during another one? And so I just try to preside over what I perceive to be the best environment for these guys to do what they do better than anyone else in the world. And I'd be a fool. My biggest problem was trying not to crack up and ruin a take, you know.
Ryan has a way of putting it. He said, I thought my character was called Schmuck, because that's what I heard most on the set. Because every time we'd finish a take, I'd look over to the monitors and Joel would be watching and going, what a schmuck. Anyway, what was the basis of the question, man? What was the next part?
Oh, I didn't really have that.
Oh, that was it.
Great.
Terrified the poor gentleman.
Brilliant. Any more? There we go. One last one from this gentleman over here.
Sorry, me again. Just wondering if there was then anything completely crazy or brilliant that didn't make it in the film, like a take that was too much or something completely nuts that you thought that was brilliant, but we can't show that.
Not that I can.
It was
I
pretty
can
crazy.
sift through. There's going to be a gag reel, I imagine, at some point. We'll find a.
I mean, the reality of this movie is it does have a beginning and a middle and an end, which is kind of rare these days. I mean, you hear about movies where we're reshooting the ending, we're shooting a new ending. I mean, you know, the movie Shane sets things up and he pays them off. I mean, he starts things and he finishes them. And the script really is pretty much what you see. I mean, there were things along the way that I'm trying to make shorter, but this is the intention of the movie, and we're very happy the way.
Unless you think that I just sort of opened a cage and then went and smoked a cigarette and came back and said, "Oh, you got some film here for me." You know, there was a script to this thing.
Yeah. And when I'm talking in terms of improv, man, we're not just manufacturing stuff out of thin air. You know, the structure is there. You know, we know what the spirit of any given moment is, you know, but how you get to that point emotionally, or how you deliver that information expositionally, you know, Shane was very trusting with us, and you know, if either of us came with an idea, the discussion was always open. So it was a very cool environment to work in.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Please, can you give a round of applause for our wonderful panel this morning? Thank you very much, Joe, Russell, Matt, and Shane.